Spider-Man Brand New Day spoiler movie review. This movie is awesome. This movie kicks ass and it rocks and it's dynamite and it's freaking cool. I saw it twice. The first night I saw opening night, midnight screening with my boys at the theater, Northwoods. It was honestly not healthy, and I didn't get home till about 4 o'clock. Midnight screenings are honestly something I should try and avoid, but I got these sick-ass collector's cans, popcorn things that make me feel like a kid again, because I remember when I was a kid, I used to go every Friday after school to see the newest whatever, the newest release of whatever Marvel movie or just big movie I was hyped for, and they would sell these cans. I have a whole bunch of like other collectors ones, and my dad would buy them for me, and I'd just keep them, and I'd eat popcorn at the house watching a movie, being like, bro, I'm at the movies, and this shit was tight. And then my friend got this for himself to drink from. Pretty sure he had a DP, but he gave it to me after, so let's go. I had my snack in there. I was eating pretzel M&Ms, low-key. Low-key, they used to be my favorite, but this last time around I ate them, it just wasn't hitting. I think I'm gonna have to switch it up, you know? Y'all feel? And I did try bringing this to my second screening, because they're both Regal theaters, and I was like, bro, they gotta give me a free refill. And they were like, oh my gosh. The girl was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. But then like, she was like, there's another worker there, and she like, looks to him and was like, wait, are we allowed? And he's like, only on the day of buying are you allowed to use those. And I was like, bro, you're such a cockblock. And then I went again to like another person, concession person. They said the same thing, and I was like, all right, bro, might as well just shoot my dick off. But anyways, this movie is dope. I'm just gonna say my opinion, and this is going to be a spoiler review. And then maybe I'll talk about what other people have been like. I've heard mixed things about it, but I made my opinion opening night, and I didn't want to look at anyone else's opinion until I made my own. So what I thought about it is that it delivered. So Spider-Man is my hero. He's one of my favorite comic book characters. But when we're talking about comic book movies, we're just going to stay in the genre of comic book movies. So, and specifically Spider-Man. So when I think of Spider-Man, in my opinion, there are two types of Spider-Man movies you can make. You can either make something similar to the first two Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films, Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, or something similar to The Amazing Spider-Man 2 by Mark Webb and Andrew Garfield. One is based in, the Sam Raimi ones are more grounded, more dramatic, more Shakespearean in the classic storytelling. And then TASM 2 is this freaking balls to the wall, big budget action movie with a lot of shit coming at you and a lot of characters and a lot of world building and a lot of just galore of Spidey. This movie, in my opinion, balanced both in a really unique way and also delivered a lot of things we've never seen before in a Spider-Man movie. And I think it had this giant open world similar to The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and it had all these characters. Jiminy Crickets. I'm tripping. I'm brain farting. I'm farting inside of my brain right now, trying to collect my thoughts. I literally wrote 2 papers about this film, but I don't just want to read it off like I'm some freaking doucher reading notes. It's like, okay, look, all the MCU Spider-Man movies have been similar to TASM 2 in one way, shape, or form. They've been these giant open world things, and that's cool. And they haven't really been grounded, and a lot of them have been really commercial. But this one still had this giant open world, but the reason it was different was because it was, and we've seen it before in a Spider-Man movie, but never to this degree, where not only was it just an open world in the Spider-Man world, but it was a Marvel world. And I've heard a lot of mixed things that people were like, the villain isn't even a Spider-Man villain, and this and that. But in my opinion, I think it made it something we haven't seen before in a Spider-Man movie. And we've had like 10 plus, if you're not including Avengers and shit. So, this was very unique in that sense, that it was this giant open world, but it stuck the landing. It never felt like how people talk down about TASM 2, that it's bloated, they're trying to do this and do that, and it never stuck the landing. This one has a lot of stuff, but it never feels bloated, and it does stick the landing. And it balances all these characters in a really cool way, and it delivers with each of them. And it delivers the goods with each character. Even in the Hulk scene, really, like, that shit was dope. That was dope. I've read about Hulk and Spidey duking it out. I know Spidey can take on Hulk. I remember watching Disney XD in freaking 8 in the morning, and there's that one episode between Spider-Man and Hulk, and that's what it felt like. It was sick. And if we're gonna talk about other characters, it finally delivered Hulk. Like, that scene, even on the rewatch, hits so hard, pun intended. Like, when Bruce Banner's hulking out, it reminds me of Avengers. When Hulk is like, "You're alive," and he's like hulking out, and Black Widow is like, "Oh fuck," like that's what it would remind me of. And I was like, bro, let's go. And the fact that Hulk remembers who Spider-Man is, not Bruce Banner, that makes that just like hits a certain part in my heart for some reason. I don't know why. And then, okay, I hear another negative thing that people talk about Punisher. I remember one of my friends was like, bro, I'm not going to see it. You know, they're just going to try and make Punisher funny and all this shit. And I could hear his voice in the back of my head when I first saw it. But ultimately, stop taking it so serious. At the end of the day, it's a comic book movie. At the end of the day, these movies are made for 16-year-olds and children. Realistically, these movies are made for kids. It's like the same thing with Star Wars fans. They're all like, bro, but what the hell? What are they doing? Jar Jar Binks and this and that. I'm like, dude, whatever you say, at the end of the day, these movies are made for kids. It's like, I don't see you walking around in a Spider-Man costume going to Target, but if your child does that, that's totally acceptable. So just the thing is, it's made for children, and the fact that we got something that was actually mature and dramatic and still delivered all these crazy goods of Spidey swinging through the city and seeing angles and shots and new compositions and cinematography that we've never seen in a Spider-Man picture before. Bro, just be grateful, for Pete's sakes. It's not the freaking Godfather, okay? And as far as Punisher goes in this film, yeah, I mean, sure, they did soften him up, and I guess it was expected. And yeah, it's not the freaking Punisher I'm used to, who's dropping F-bombs and gashing out people's throats and shanking people in prison and fucking getting in prison fights with Kingpin and like cussing people out. Like, his opening scene in Daredevil season 2 is just like, he's literally the Terminator, and he's just capping people in a hospital. And I remember, like, when they're playing, like, that death metal scene in season 2, and like, the guy who's, like, cleaning the freaking 18-wheeler, and he's playing, like, has his headphones on, listening to, like, death metal, like, like, some grunge shit, and he has no idea, like, all his friends are being massacred by Punisher, and then he takes off the headphones, and Punisher has, like, blood just gushed all over his face, and he's like, to that death metal song. Yeah, I knew we weren't gonna get that version of Punisher. But two things. One, John Barenthal's performance is still dope because he was able to understand the kind of film he was making and able to be a real actor who's malleable and flexible to fit whatever the director of the vision is while staying true to the character, even though, yeah, he comes off a little more soft than he normally would. Okay, that wasn't a mistake. And two, we finally actually got to see Spider-Man and Punisher, which is dope. Spidey is your hero. He's a street level hero, but he's also this centered universe character, similar to Superman, who is, at the end of the day, DC Comics nearly revolves around Superman. It's a Superman-centered universe, and Batman, but really Superman, like, he was the first hero, okay? He will go into deep space and fight Darkseid and Brainiac and the Anti-Monitor and all this crazy shit. But at the end of the day, he's flying through Metropolis, saving the cat from a tree. And, like, stopping a fire and a bank robbery, okay? It's the same thing with Spidey. And we got to see this really cool street version of him with street-level characters, which we all want to see, like that nighttime vigilante stuff. Punisher, Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage. Hey, you Luke Cage? Luke Cage, all of them. Well, I mean, just Punisher in this one, but it was sick. It was dope. And it reminds me of the comics that I used to read, the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, the OG Peter Parker, or OG Ultimate Peter. I remember reading some cool-ass comics where the opening panel is, like, Punisher just shooting stuff, and Spidey's like, bro, what are you doing? And, like, the inner dialogue is like, dude, this guy again. It's like, I was like, bro, let's go! Like, imagine that opening scene in TASM 2, where he's free-falling, and he's like, what do you got for me today in New York? And there's giant explosions and skyscrapers, and Punisher was there. That shit would be tight. That's basically what we got in this one, so I'm cool with it. Okay, so with that being said, this movie balanced the TASM 2 style very well, while also delivering the OG Raimi films, Spidey 1 and Spider-Man 2, which are arguably the greatest films in comic book cinema. And the way it really balances those two tones in this film is in a way, how did it do? Okay, yeah, the other MCU films didn't really get that mature and grounded the way this one did, the way it was tapping into the two first Raimi pictures. And like No Way Home kind of went for that. Homecoming, yeah, a little, but Far From Home, no, I don't remember it that well. Or I don't remember that drama being in it, besides when Happy Hogan is talking about Iron Man dying. But the other three didn't really balance that drama as well as it did in this one. In Brand New Day. Brand New Day really, I was so shocked on how much it slowed down and became about the characters. How there weren't a lot of sequences. Like, there was like a good 30 or 40 minutes where there were no crazy set pieces, there were no sequences, there were no scores or soundtracks or anything distracting, or not distracting, but big and stimulating. And it was about the characters. It was really about Peter Parker with all this heartbreak in him and all this loneliness in him, and it was really about how his relationship with everyone and what he's really hoping for, and what he's hoping for is just breaking his heart each time. And it was just, I was really shocked on how mature it was, how grounded it was, all still in this world, this stylized comic book New York, which was sick. It was badass. And then as soon as, like, you see the story and you see it slow down, then boom, punch in the face, pun intended, like Hulk, Scorpion, like cool ass shit, yo. And another cool thing about this movie is the homage, which was another reason why this movie became so dope. How many Spidey movies have they made, including the animated ones? 3, TASM, Spider-Verse, MCU. This is the 11th standalone Spider-Man movie. 11. You would think that if they're like gonna keep doing this franchise for as long as humankind exists, that they would know a thing or two about a thing or two. And this one was like, dude, let's deliver what a Spider-Man movie should be. At the end of the day, we're not going for the Oscar here, so let's just deliver what people expect from a Spider-Man movie. And the amount of homage in this film that was to the original Spider-Man movies was sick as fuck. Like, Spidey swinging home in the rain, crying, with his stylized New York behind him. Bro, Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi, bro. Sam Raimi, where Spidey's swinging all alone in his thoughts. He's like, bro, dude, who am I? And then he like stops with the web shooters or his organic webbing is out and he falls. And or like the scene when he's like dragging his bike and there's like posters of Mary Jane Watson. I'm like, bro, that shit is dope. Or okay, the most clearly notable one is the opening montage, which was balancing TASM 2, giving homage to TASM 2, but delivering things we've never seen before with a killer soundtrack. That opening sequence, really, I'm immersed in that one. Like, I'm locked in. I'm like, bro, let's go. And it's delivering all those like Amazing Fantasy 15 cover. I'm like, bro, all the Todd McFarlane covers. I'm like, dude, this shit's tight. It's a really good sequence. And then it still shows Pete hitting it hard, you know, in real life. The you know, the real guy that you know, that anyone could be. It really shows him, you know, still taking it harder for the rest of us out here, you know. And he's still just a dork, still gets no hoes, no money, no game. And I'm like, bro, dude, just freaking get on, like, dude, just cold approach girls, like, get game, bro. Just like stop, just chill, just there are other fish in the sea, but we get it, you know, it has to fit in with the lore, the context, the myth. It has to fit in with the mythology of who Peter Parker is. That he has to take it hard for the rest of us. You know, everything's still a little fantasy-like, where, you know, he's blue, or I don't know, but it's just funny to see he's still nerdy-ass, dorky-ass Pete who gets no hoes, has no money, and always taking it hard for the rest of us while he's still shredded and yoked. And yeah, and just like a gooner. He was such a gooner in this. I'm like, bro, dude, just like freaking get on self-improvement, just just do, like, just focus on healthy habits, bro. But anyways, and then another dope thing about this film is that, damn, where was I going with that? Fudge. I was going somewhere chill with that. Let me think. Pete taking it. Oh yeah, the homage. Okay. Opening scene, homage TASM 2, when MJ falls after she's being like controlled by Jean Grey, and she has like that smirk. I'm pretty sure they had that exact same composition in No Way Home. I don't remember when MJ falls and Andrew Garfield saves her, but they did it again in this one anyways, where MJ falls, and it was just such a, you know, a slick little play on that scene where it's looked like the exact same composition and the exact same editing and style and cinematography as TASM 2, where Gwen falls to her death, where it's doing slow-mo, Gwen is falling in her hair, except MJ had, like, you know, that sly little smirk. I was like, wow, that was a pretty cool play on it. And that was sick. And damn it, dude, I know there was another one that hit hard on the rewatch. I was like, bro, fudge. Like another homage to the original Spider-Man film that I just do not remember off the top of the dome. And then it's going to come back to me. Whatever, it is what it is. But I remember there was like one more really cool one that was a wink at the original Sam Raimi. I think it was Spider-Man 2. Whatever. Okay, moving forward. And what I really liked about this movie was the mystery behind it. That it was such a you know, cat and mouse game, especially on that first viewing. I really didn't know what was going to happen next. I didn't know what was unfolding. And they did a really phenomenal job, as they always do. But this one was better, of keeping it such a secret, because I'm in it. I'm like, is the villain Mr. Negative? Like, who is it? Who's the main bad guy? Like, what is this building up to? Is it Mr. Negative? Is it Mysterio? Like, what? It has to be like some sort of telepath. And I just couldn't put my finger on it. And I was really hyped. And then when it was Jean Grey, I was like, bro, you're telling me an X-Men hero is the main villain of Spider-Man Brand New Day? To me, that shit was mad tight. And I was just really happy with that. I was really excited with that because, you know, it also reminded me of when I would just read Ultimate Spider-Man, the Brian Michael Bendis Ultimate Spider-Man Peter, and it was when so many crossovers with the X-Men in that. And I was really, on my first viewing, I was like, dude, I really thought he was gonna call him the X-Men. Because every time there's like an X-Men debacle in a Spider-Man book, he's like, dude, what the fuck do I do? And he just like calls in the X-Men. He's like, bro, I don't know what to do. I'm just calling the X-Men. And and then like the X-Men just appear from the sky, like some giant splash page with like Cyclops like in the center, and he's like my X-Men, and Iceman just like in the background, like on one of those sliding ice things he does, and like Beast like in the front, like just like jumping down, and I could just imagine Cyclops just like but yeah, and I remember this one, it reminded me, they didn't do it. I get it would have been funny if they did, but I don't think it would have worked because this version of Jean Grey was like really young. But I remember one Ultimate Spider-Man book with Jean Grey in it, and there's like this scene that I remember made me laugh so hard when I first saw it or read it. It was like Jean Grey is like talking to him, and she's like, "You're really nice, Spider-Man." And he's like, "Thanks." And she's like, "And you're also the first guy, who hasn't thought of me naked when I first met him." And then it just shows like a close up on like Peter's on like Spider-Man's mask, and it's just his blank mask, and then it shows like Jean Grey's like face just like until now. And then Spider-Man's like, "Sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." And like that shit would have been pretty funny if they did that in the movie, but I guess like their version of Jean Grey was like a teenager, and like that would have been kind of weird. Like if it was like some super like older hot version of Jean Grey, they could have done it, but like yeah, anyways, but just the point is it was fucking dope that Jean Grey was the main villain, and Sadie Sink's performance was really dope, mainly just because of the way she fills the frame, knowing like what she's famous for is Stranger Things, and knowing that in that show that it's all about, you know, sci-fi and cool shit, and Eleven is a similar character to that. But in my opinion, it's the way Sadie Sink was just filling the frame, you know, kind of like Steve McQueen, you know, who's known for just doing all of these action car movies and badass guys. So whenever he's in a movie, he's just doing Steve McQueen filling the frame. And the way she was playing Jean Grey, I mean, she was really just filling the frame. And I was like, dude, like, when you think of her, you just think of Stranger Things. And that the shoe fits, bro. And it was really dope. And another really good thing about this movie was how, I know I already talked about this, but how dramatic it was and how it really built up all of that drama made it really, really cool in the sense where, okay, let's talk real shit, okay? Let's think about it. Jean Grey is this kid, and this movie slows down to build an emotional arc of hope and heartbreak. It's not just this action movie of a lot of intense shit, even though all the Spider-Man movies have this slowed down, like they all have like, you know, some sort of emotion at the core of it. Like I'm thinking of TASM 2 right now, you know, like Gwen literally dies, like that's some crazy shit that happens. But in this one, it slows down throughout the movie. Jean Grey is this teenager who's a mutant, which is really dope. And Spidey's technically a metahuman, but she's a mutant. And she needs help. And one of the most famous superheroes in their world is there to help. So it's this really interesting combat where he's trying to help. He's not trying to stop or defeat her the way he would try and defeat the Green Goblin or Doc Ock or whatever. And another thing about this drama, while we're still on this note of Spidey trying to help Jean, is that I'm taking the last 3 MCU movies I can really remember off the top of the dome are Deadpool and Wolverine, Thunderbolts. Fantastic Four was good too, but I'm going to focus on Deadpool and Wolverine and Thunderbolts. Both of those movies kind of do the same thing that this one did, Brand New Day, with this kind of new formula of how the movie ends. The boss battle is really this scene. It's a scene of drama or some sort of emotional arc or satisfaction. And for example, in Deadpool and Wolverine, they have that giant, huge CGI shot of them killing like the billions of multiple Deadpool alternates. And then that's the action sequence. And then it goes to them holding hands with the Like a Prayer song. And that's like this emotional finisher. Thunderbolts, Sentry does this crazy shit, whatever. And then she's like in his head. And she is, Florence Pugh is like trying to tell Sentry, like, you're not alone. In my opinion, Brand New Day did the same thing where he fights the Hand, which, while we're on that topic super quick, was fucking dope, badass. The choreographing was phenomenal. I've always dreamed of seeing Spider-Man fight the Hand. He's done it before in comics I've read, like Shadowland and whatnot, but this was just so cool finally seeing it unfold. And the reason why the Hand is so cool is because they are like this larger than life villain. They're an army villain, but and they're pulling strings in the shadows. And you know, Daredevil takes them on toe to toe. Punisher would drop thousands of them with machine guns, but they keep coming back, and they're really OP, and they're a good army for Spidey to fight in New York. You know, like in a cool stylized comic book where he's focused on him being a vigilante, not all this cosmic stuff. That's a really cool team for him to fight, and to actually finally see it unfold. That was a very cinematic sequence of like Spidey, when there's the shot with him like on his knees looking up to them and has like the spider on his back. I was like, dude, it really delivers. And that was just a phenomenal sequence. And also just seeing how much of it was done in camera. If that was actually Tom Holland or stunt double, but like doing all the kung fu and kicks and stuff, like how much was done in camera was phenomenal. But okay, now getting back to the drama of the final arc, which is, so as we said, Deadpool and Wolverine had the action sequence, then the song. Thunderbolts had the action sequence, then they're in Sentry's head. Brand New Day has him fighting the Hand, and then he goes in there to help Jean. And this one executed this final battle, this final emotional arc in the most satisfying, compelling way possible. Better than I thought Deadpool and Wolverine felt like a video game. I honestly wasn't crazy about that movie, and I thought the final arc was pretty bad in my opinion, especially that giant CG. I thought the movie was just a video game. Thunderbolts wasn't bad, but the thing is, they're not a name team that you sincerely care about. They're like D-list characters, and Spidey is, I mean, he's objectively the most profitable comic book character in all of American pop culture. And when you think of comic book as a medium and mythology, Spider-Man, Superman, and Batman are the three main, they're the face of comic books, specifically the superhero mythology. And this last closing scene between Jean Grey, a mutant X-Men, and Spider-Man, objectively one of the most famous characters in all pop culture, stuck the landing unlike anything I've seen before. It delivered this sense of nostalgia where Spidey's in the Homecoming suit. It feels like 2019 again, and he's in that same set as the original Spider-Man MCU movies, and you understand what Jean Grey's been going through. You understand what Peter Parker has been going through as a hero. You understand that that we all come from different walks of life, but you know, all of us carry a burden, all of us carry a hope, and I would hope a dream as well. And I would also hope that each of us have something that we believe about ourselves that makes us special or magical or whatever, as cliche and wishy-washy as that sounds. And you know, we watch these superhero characters, the mythology of them, because of how close to home it is to us, and we can connect to that to a certain degree. And I really found that closing scene where Jean Grey finally gets the mom she never had from Peter Parker, who grew up as an American boy and grew up with a family who loved him, Uncle Ben and Aunt May, even though things weren't picture perfect. He had that, and you know, that's kind of like Superman, who is just a giant alien and larger than life, but he really is a human from Kansas. Same thing with Batman and all these other characters. So that closing scene, there was a lot of emotional satisfaction for me, and it moved me, it brought me to tears, and I was like, dude, this delivers. And I was super fulfilled by the end of it. And yeah, I think it did it really well. So that's about all my opinions on it. I think I've covered everything. Watch, I'm gonna go back and read these 2 journal entries I made about it and be like, bro, I should have said that. Now this video is never gonna be perfect, bro. Okay, I guess the last thing I'm gonna say that I remember really, really being so hyped about when I was in the theater, and I looked over to my best friend and I was like, bro, the Punisher in Spider-Man versus Hulk in Jean Grey, I was so like hyped. In the way I did not expect Punisher to come in to fight Hulk, and how he's screaming, in my opinion, like it sounded like he was like damn near scared. He's like, dude, shit, dude, bro, don't let him breathe, bro, don't let him breathe, don't give him a second. What did I do? This shit was dope. It was dope. But yeah, okay, Spider-Man: Brand New Day is a really good Spider-Man movie. My favorite Spider-Man films are probably still Spider-Man 2 and like TASM 1 or something. But this one delivered. I really enjoyed it. It's good to know Pete's taking it hard for the rest of us, and that we can all aspire to wear the mask too, and that the soundtrack was also pretty dope. All right, thanks for watching. Hopefully this video wasn't too long. If you've watched this far, you're a real fan. Thanks for everything, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.